Thanks for watching Florida Live. I'm Garrett Wymer. Day 2 of the government shutdown, and still no sign of any progress. Live look right now at the U.S. Capitol. As this shutdown continues, neither side seems willing to budge. So where do things stand? Congressman Maxwell Frost, a Democrat from Florida's 10th District here in Orlando, joining me now. Congressman Frost, we appreciate you joining us here today.
Yeah, good to be here, man.
Day 2 of the government shutdown. Just kind of give me your thoughts on where things are right now.
Yeah, well, let's talk about how we got here really quick. You know, we have been pushing for a while that there are some things we need to take care of in terms of health care. The big ugly bill that was passed, the big beautiful bill act, is ripping away health care from 17 million people. At the end of this year, the Affordable Care Act tax subsidies will also expire, which means 25 million people in this country will see their health care premiums go up anywhere from 50 to 300%. That's 189,000 people in my district alone. And so what we're saying is, in this bill, we really need to address that, or else working people across the country are going to face a healthcare crisis and even more of an affordability crisis in this country. And so we went to the president to negotiate in good faith, and what we found is that he's not interested in negotiating, he's not interested in doing anything, and he'd rather shut down the government than work with Democrats to make sure that our people have health care. Republicans in Washington, D.C. run the White House, the House of Representatives, and the United States Senate. And so it's really their responsibility to ensure that the government is funded. If they can't do that, they come to us, so we work on a deal. Our line in the sand is very simple. We want to make sure that working people have health care and that their health care premiums don't go up upwards of 300%. They don't want to work with us on that. So we're unsure of exactly where it'll go, but it's really up to the president to come to the table and say, let's actually do our job and let's figure this out.
In the White House briefing yesterday, Vice President J.D. Vance said that he is willing to work with Democrats and negotiate on these health care subsidies after the shutdown is ended. What do you think about that?
Now's the time to do our job. And this is a typical thing of D.C. Politicians. They want to kick the can down the road, kick the can on a budget, kick the can on a continuing resolution. Working people in this district can't kick the can when they got to clock in to go to work. We were all in Washington, D.C. yesterday, or the day before yesterday, the day of the shutdown, ready to work on a negotiated solution. All the Democrats were there. I stood on the House floor, and 0 of the Republican members of Congress were there. They were all around the country, some on vacation, some were caught having dinners with the very donors and billionaires that are going to profit from so many working people having to pay more for their health care. So he can say what he wants, but what we're interested in is what you do. And the fact of the matter is, we're not going to kick the can down the road on this. We have to deal with it now. Yesterday, October 1st, millions of people started receiving and getting letters that are telling them your health care is going to go up by this much. The Speaker of the House in the meeting with the President and Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer said, well, we shouldn't deal with this now. We should deal with this later. It's an extraneous issue. Healthcare isn't extraneous. Like, for working people and like putting all the stuff aside, it's really simple. People will receive letters saying, you paid this much this year, it's going to go up 200%. Working families are going to make decisions now based on what they have to do next year. That might mean for the next 3 months we have to get less food at the grocery store because we need more money to pay for healthcare next year. It might mean we have to move out of our rental unit because rent's already too damn expensive and we have to pay more for healthcare next year. These are like real decisions for people, between life and death for many people too, especially here in Central Florida. So I'm going to be speaking with people across the district the next few days to really learn about those impacts on them in terms of healthcare. But we cannot kick the can on this. We cannot do it later. Let's do it now. We're ready to work. We were there a few days ago. We'll go back as soon as they're ready to talk about it.
I want to talk a little bit about the effects of the shutdown itself.
Yeah.
We've heard some concerns raised that the Trump administration might use this shutdown as a way to slash and kind of remake what the federal government looks like. And I do want to pull up a Truth Social post from the president from 7:59 this morning saying that he has a meeting today with Russ Vought, he of Project 2025 fame, to determine which of the many Democrat agencies, most of which are a political scam, he recommends to be cut and whether or not those cuts will be temporary or permanent. I can't believe the radical left Democrats gave me this unprecedented opportunity. They are not stupid people, so maybe this is their way of wanting to quietly and quickly make America great again. Your thoughts on that?
Well, number one, yeah, it is in Project 2025 that they're going to illegally do everything they can to slash parts of the federal government, including the Department of Education, which makes sure that students with disabilities and students that live in rural communities actually have a shot at having a decent education in this country. So we'll see what the president wants to do. But this threat of firing people, he's been firing people left and right. In many cases, judges have had to step forward and order them to hire the people back. In fact, you probably saw this latest report that said thousands and thousands of the people they fired at the beginning of the year, they had to hire them back, which means they had about 8 months where they were sitting at home doing nothing and still receiving their paycheck. You want to talk about waste, fraud, and abuse? Probably the same thing is going to happen in this case. It is normal in a government shutdown for people to be furloughed on a temporary basis. That is a normal thing. But to sit here and say we're going to try to use it to circumvent Congress and fire a bunch of people and slash the federal government, it's illegal. Now, I'm not saying he's not going to try to do it because this president's been doing illegal things back and forth, but we'll be there to fight back, and there will be litigation that will probably force him to undo what he does. So what he's trying to do is he's trying to make us blink in this moment. He wants Democrats to say, you know what, we're not going to fight for working people anymore, and we're going to rubber stamp a budget that's going to ensure our own constituents pay more for health care. We're not going to do it, no matter what he says.
Is there any situation that the Democrats blink, to use your word there, or budge on some of these, or come to the negotiation table and find a way to?
I mean, we've been at the negotiating table, right? I mean, just look at what happened with that meeting with the Democratic leaders, Republican leaders, and Donald Trump. They had a meeting, and what did Trump do a few hours later? Did he come out and say, well, let's negotiate on this, let's talk some more, come back for another meeting? No. He posted a racist AI meme of Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer. What kind of message does that send? It shows you straight up that he's not interested in negotiating. He'd rather shut down the government than actually figure out how we can save healthcare in this country. And it's a sad state of affairs that we're in right now. We were there to work with them on this. They weren't there. I'm willing to hop on a plane right now. I will run out and go to the airport to get up there so we can figure this thing out, but they're not interested in it. And that's where we're at right now. And remember, the last government shutdown didn't happen during Joe Biden. There wasn't a single government shutdown during that period. It was during the last Trump administration. This is normal for him. It's hard for him to work with others, but that's what government's about.
When it comes to the people you represent here in Central Florida, what's your biggest concern about the impacts of a prolonged government shutdown?
Well, as of now, if you receive Social Security or if you're on Medicare, you're still going to receive those benefits. You're still going to get those checks. But if the government shutdown goes for a long, long time, you will actually see that some checks will be more delayed. You'll see that some folks, when you call to get a question answered at Social Security Administration, you might not get your phone answered for a while because people are furloughed. And also the fact that we have so many federal workers that are going to work that don't know if they're going to get their next paycheck. Because as long as we're in a government shutdown, paychecks don't go out. We're talking about TSA workers who are tasked with making sure we're safe when we're, flying. We're talking about the fact that a lot of the FDA gets laid off. NOAA. This is the organization that ensures we're up to date on forecasts for hurricanes. We're in hurricane season right now. If you go to their social media, they've posted, we furlough a lot of our communications team. We're not going to be able to communicate to people. So a government shutdown is serious. And it's also, whenever a government shuts down, it shows the failure of Congress and the failure of the president to negotiate a deal to make sure that the government stays open.
I'm glad you brought that up because I think a lot of people are frustrated by this process and seeing the finger pointing from Republicans, calling it the Schumer shutdown, Democrats blaming it on Republicans who are in the majority. But for the inability to get something done on this and for it to come to a shutdown again, what does that say about kind of where we are? And the inability of Congress a lot of times to get things done.
Yeah, I mean, it's extremely frustrating. And I think about my first term in Congress under Joe Biden, right? We were in a Republican-led House of Representatives where we got close to a shutdown, but we didn't shut down. Why didn't we shut down? Joe Biden had multiple meetings with Kevin McCarthy, the Republican leader at the time, and they negotiated a deal. Even though Democrats had the presidency and Democrats had the Senate, he understood that we had to work together to get something over the line because he could see the math. And he didn't expect for Republicans to vote for something that they weren't a part of. And not just that they weren't a part of, because this isn't about process, but something they didn't believe in at all. And you work out and you get to a compromise. Donald Trump didn't bring us in on anything, and what that results in is people not having their health care saved. Through the big ugly bill that they passed, 17 million people are being kicked off their health insurance. Now, if we don't handle what we need to do and do our job on extending the tax subsidies for the Affordable Care Act, 25 million people will see their health insurance skyrocket. And that's unacceptable. And for the president and the Speaker of the House to say, let's do it later, again, Congress is like the only place in the world, the only job where you can say, yeah, let's do our job later. We got to do our job now. Let's get out of this government shutdown. Let's fix healthcare. Let's move on from this. We're ready to do it. Again, I was in D.C. Monday, Tuesday, ready to work, and Republicans were nowhere to be found. I can't think of another job where you can just take a vacation in the middle of a crisis like this.
At the same time, I think Republicans would say, why not just pass the clean CR and negotiate those subsidies once that's passed?
Because we negotiate for the CR. That's the way this works. We negotiate for the budget. We're not negotiating for the budget. And what happens is that because we're really thinking about working people and we know what's coming when these tax subsidies expire, that is something we need to handle right now. So I get what they're saying. What they're saying is do the thing that we want to do. Let's not do our job and handle what we need to handle in the tax subsidies, and let's let people's health care go up. And maybe, just maybe, at some point in the future, we'll talk about it and we'll get it done. And that's not good enough. I got elected to stand up for my constituents. If we do nothing, 180,000 or 189,000 people will see their health care go up upwards of 300%. That's not just Democrats. It's Democrats, it's Republicans, it's independents, it's people who don't vote, it's everybody, it's families. And we have to handle it now. And so I get what they're saying. They want us to kick the can down the road. They want us to not go to work on this. We got to go to work on this. Let's do it right now. You could get it done in a day.
It seems like both sides have kind of dug in their heels on this. So where do we go from here, Congressman?
It's really up to the president. The president, the way things are working right now, there is no independent Congress, the way that the Constitution states out. The Speaker of the House doesn't make really his own decisions. He does what the president says. The president is the Speaker of the House right now, and that's a very sad state of affairs, whether you're a Democrat or Republican. That's not how this country should work, but it's how it's working. So it's up to the president and him alone to come out and say, you know what? Let's have another meeting. Let's figure out what we can do to do our job to make sure healthcare doesn't go up for millions of people across this country. And if he can do that, and our leaders can get to the table and have a negotiation and compromise, which is what part of what government's about, then we can get back to Congress, pass this, and move on. That's really what needs to happen. It's all in his hands. Republicans run the House, the Senate, and the White House. We just need some leadership right now.
We've seen some reporting from Politico that there are rank and file members having bipartisan discussions kind of in the background here about a path out of this. Have you had any conversations with Republicans?
Most of those have been on the Senate because the House has not been called back. So I was ready to have those conversations on Monday and Tuesday, the day of the shutdown, the day after the shutdown, but there were no Republicans in D.C. to talk to us.
Well, Congressman Frost, really appreciate your time here this morning.
Thanks. Good to see you.